I'm Armstead, and I'm a Public Information Officer with the Oakland Police Department. Today, Oakland Police Chief LaRon L. Armstrong will be discussing the private donations of the remote aerial vehicles from and California Waste Solutions. Joining Chief Armstrong is the Oakland Chinatown Improvement Council Interim President, Stuart Chen, as well as the CEO of California Waste Solutions, David Duong. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chief Armstrong. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here today. Over many press conferences, I spoke very clearly that we needed help from the community to address crime, that the police department couldn't do it alone. And today, our community has stepped up for us. Today, I announced that OPD has been working since 2018 to implement a UAV drone program. OPD's program is approved by the Oakland Police Commission, the Oakland City Council, as well as the Oakland Privacy Commission. Our team and officers are authorized and certified by the Federal Aviation Administration. These vehicles will be used to conduct searches and rescues, look for missing people, at high-risk searches for individuals wanted, for people who have violent arrest warrants, for barricaded armed suspects, as well as a de-escalation tool. We collect no artificial intelligence, no facial recognition. Technology will be used to support our efforts to make Oakland a safer city. Our policy requires that we record these events, but our retention program only allows us to keep this information for 5 days unless it's connected to a criminal investigation. We want to make sure that our community knows that this is really a tool to augment the efforts that we are already taking to make Oakland a safer city. And so we really do thank our community for stepping up in this way. I think collectively, this is how we will make Oakland a safer city. This is a tool that we, for many years, have had to call on other police departments for support, asking them to bring forth their equipment to support our efforts. Now we have our own in-house equipment. And so with that, I'll take any questions that you might have relevant to this.
What will the advantage be in having your own?
Well, I think the advantage is that we can use less resources when it comes to conducting investigations or looking for suspects. We don't need as many officers when we have this type of technology. And also in Oakland, where you have a hilly area in our city. Obviously, Oakland is a city with the Oakland Hills that sometimes the terrain does not allow for officers to have access to certain areas. Using these aerial vehicles will be able to access those areas without putting officer safety at risk. So I think that's a huge advantage. It's also when you're talking about dealing with barricaded suspects that pose a potential risk to officer safety, being able to introduce this aerial vehicle as opposed to actually putting an officer in harm's way, I think is also a very helpful thing as well. Yeah.
George Kelly, East Bay Times. What kind of training went into training officers to use these devices, and what kind of training will be ongoing?
Yeah, we have a whole team conducting training. They've been trained by the FAA. They've also been a part of our policy development. That policy has been approved by our Oakland Privacy Commission, which I think is important because that means communities had a voice in us actually being able to use this type of technology. I think it's clear that we have to continue to train, continue to maintain our credibility when it comes to the use of these so that community trusts us when we deploy this type of technology. I think our increased officers will receive more training because the team will expand as we begin to grow this program a little bit. Hopefully in the future, we'll have more technology like this.
Will these be used only in the course of an investigation that is underway, or will they possibly be used just as a matter of course to sort of cruise up and down Oakland and see what's going on?
They will not be used to cruise up and down Oakland. Like I said earlier, they'll be used for very specific reasons, search and rescue, which I think is key. When we have remote areas like someone missing up in the Oakland Hills, when we have someone that we know we want to cover a large area, these vehicles will be used to support that effort. When we talk about high-risk search warrants, like I mentioned, where we have to go into a location where we know it poses a potential safety risk to the officers, it'd be best to actually get a visual on that particular area. when we're searching for people who are in small quarters, like in a backyard, hiding under something, before we send an officer in, I think this tool will be helpful in getting eyes on top and giving us a visual of what's happening in that yard or potentially locating that individual. So we'll use it directly for our public safety responsibilities. Yes, Star.
Questions. The hardware is donated, but what about the operating and maintenance budget? How much is that going to cost you per year? Is that also donated? Has the city council said they're going to provide funding for that? And then second, sideshows. You going to use these on sideshows?
Well, the first question, we haven't asked for any maintenance funding at this point. I think we'll utilize the grant funding that we have if we need to maintain these vehicles. Obviously, they'll need some upkeep and maintenance. I think the most pressing issue is the need for additional batteries to support these vehicles staying up in the air for a significant amount of time. The current batteries run for about 30 minutes, so we'll need to increase our inventory of batteries. That's something that I think we'll use our budget and grant funding to do that. And if there's a need to go back to council, we'll do that at some other date. But I think right now we have sufficient equipment to start the program, and I think as we begin to see how much we use it, I think we'll be better equipped to see if there's additional need for additional funding. But I also want to support that. I want to make sure that we can support it with showing the council and others that it's been an effective tool, and if it's been helpful, which I know it will be, and so we can provide those specific incidents where this was something that helped us either find someone or have a safe outcome to an incident.
Sideshows?
Yeah, sideshows, I do believe that this could be something that we utilize in a sideshow. Oftentimes in sideshows, we are faced with gunfire. We are faced with large numbers of vehicles that are involved in certain maneuvers that's not safe for officers to get close to. This would be a tool that we could use for an aerial view of sideshow activity. So I do anticipate the use of these type of vehicles in a sideshow setting.
Would these be used for surveillance in a potential protest situation?
No, that is not what they'll be used for currently. That's not what like I outlined previously. That's not doesn't fit within our policy at this point. But I do think that that's things that we can revisit at some point if we feel like it's an appropriate tool. I think it's something that we'll go back to the Privacy Commission if we think that it could be effective. And I think we do like to have an aerial view when it comes to crowd management situations, but we won't be using this initially in those situations.
Can this take the place of a helicopter?
No, it does not replace a helicopter. It does not fly as long as a helicopter can. It does not quickly get to locations throughout our huge city. It does require a pilot to be able to consistently be close to the vehicle, and so it won't move as fast as a helicopter or be able to provide us that real-time information that we might need. We're relying on a camera as opposed to a human eye that can give us an on-the-ground picture of what's happening. So I don't believe that it'll replace a helicopter at this point.
What's the size of the grant?
The grant is $80,000. Yeah.
Will this have FLIR cameras?
We do not have FLIR cameras attached to it, but we do have cameras attached to it, right? It's not FLIR.
Okay.
No FLIR camera.
How many drones will there be, and when do you guys expect to start using them?
Initially, we have 3 drones. We expect to expand that group to 8, right?
Do you have any thoughts about why this kind of technology requires kind of a donation from the public as opposed to being something that's given to you from the city itself?
Well, I think, the city of Oakland has always been one that wanted to make sure that there was no big brother, that we, respected people's Fourth Amendment rights. And so I think this is a step forward, I actually think, for Oakland, because probably a couple years ago, one wouldn't imagine that you would get drones in the city of Oakland. But I think through the work of our team of Oakland police officers that have been working with the Privacy Commission for a couple years, I think they came to an agreement that the Privacy Commission was open to us purchasing drones, but we couldn't use city funds in order to do it. So I do think our officers and community came together to make sure we were able to utilize this technology, and I'm just happy that we were able to get the funding to purchase them. I think it'll be effective, and I think we'll all see that we'll use them properly.
Do you know the manufacturer name?
I don't, but my staff can get you the manufacturer's name.
Are there plans to survey territories and areas where other kinds of crimes occur, things like dumping or other kinds of perhaps homeless camps?
Not at this point, no. We've not been asked, and that is not within our policy at this point. But there's other departments that are responsible for addressing those type of issues in the city of Oakland. We would, be open to having discussions with those other departments if that's what they were interested in. But currently, that is not within our policy, and Oakland Police Department will not engage in that at this time.
Which division handles the drones? Is it criminal investigative or a different?
It's a different unit. We've actually created a drone unit specifically to actually manage these vehicles.
Are these the actual units that you purchased? And if so, do you or somebody know what their capabilities are? This seems like
Yep.
a lot of.
Yep, I'm going to bring up Sergeant Michael Chung you can come on up, buddy. He knows all the specifics regarding the vehicle, and he can give you the specs on how long these vehicles can stand up. He's also one of our trained pilots for this vehicle, as well as Lieutenant Dasakiers, who can come up as well. These are our two lead drone operators. They can speak to the specific capabilities of these drones and how we plan to deploy. Sure.
Hello. Sergeant Michael Chung with the Oakland Police Department. I'll take any questions.
Just as we look at this thing, it's got a lot of bells and whistles. What are its capabilities? What are these things able to do?
For these two particular models, they're actually made for law enforcement, search and rescue, primarily as said by the chief. The most interesting functions would be the speaker. It has a thermal camera to look for missing persons, and a spotlight to actually assist in searching for those missing and high-risk persons.
Are similar models in use currently by neighboring law enforcement agencies?
Absolutely. The biggest one neighboring us is the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who employs the exact same models.
How long can something like this stay in the air?
Each battery can sustain a 30-minute flight.
Can you tell us anything about how much they cost?
The big one you see there, that with all its accessories and equipment, costs about $40,000. The smaller one, it's about $8,000.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Stuart Chung or David Ross. Who would like to go first?
Thank you, Chief, for inviting us to this press release. My name is Stuart Chen. I am the newly elected Chinatown Council, or the Oakland Chinatown Improvement Council, which is a CBD, a community-based district. So this whole event, the catalyst, happened when it's a very casual lunch that I had with Sergeant Chung. And the questions that you have from the press about the privacy issues and the use of the drones were the exact same questions I asked him. And I was given the reassurance that it will be used for primary search and rescue, and everything that Chief Armstrong has said earlier. And given the assurance that it's been approved by the council and the Privacy Commission, we went ahead and start to fundraise, and which led us to today's event of presenting the drones to OPD. I'm very, very happy that we have the police and Sergeant Chung, Lieutenant Alan Yu, who has helped keep Chinatown safe. And as you know, Chinatown has been inundated with a lot of crime, from the anti-Asian sentiment to the crime perpetrated on our seniors, our female, our shoppers. And the Chinatown Council was born because of that necessity. We need to revitalize Oakland Chinatown. We need to keep it safe and clean. We will do our part. In the next coming years, 2 to 3 years, we'll have a Welcome to Chinatown Gate. But all of that will mean less if our community is not protected. That's why the OPD is an important component. We need them to continue to provide services that they currently provide. And I want to reach out and thank Councilmember Nikki Bass' office, Cynthia, who's here supporting this effort, Councilmember Sheng Tao, who is a dear friend, who is also a big supporter of Oakland PD and the drones. And County Supervisor David Brown's office is also here to support this whole presentation. And for that, I just I'm so excited, I'm so happy that this is happening, and hopefully this will keep Oakland safe, not just Chinatown, because we could easily just provide 1 or 2 drones, but we provided enough drones to cover the entire city of Oakland. All right, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, CEO of California Waste Solution, a Vietnamese American company born in Oakland and doing business in Oakland. Thank you, Chief Armstrong. Thank you, police officer, man, woman, for your orders to my son, Andy Duong. He came to me and said, Dad, Dad, the police office in Oakland need drone to help to protecting the city. I've been watching your news and all that, and I know that police of Oakland are short of funding. So therefore, that when they're asking this, I have friends who get robbed in Chinatown. I get people that rob in front of our office, Roy Embarcadero. I see all this. We want to do something for our community, for our city. We don't know what we can do. So therefore, the opportunities come when my son come and say that, Stuart Chang, the Chinatown council, call and ask for, because police office, officer, we need this to help. I said, let's jump on it. And this is something that we want to do it just to help our community. I think that partnership between the community, business community in Oakland, and with the police, with the city, with council, we all can take our city back. And with all this, that's why we doing all this. We start our business here, and we grow our business here. We want to give it back to our community, and we want to make sure that we get about 50 trucks, collection truck of recycling, like going out there every single day. We want to protect our employee too. So that is part of that. We want to do all this as a whole, as a community, as being partner with the police, partner with the city. So therefore, that's why we're doing all this, and hopefully that there are more opportunity come. We're committed to do more for our community, and that is what we're here for today. We thank you, all the media here. That today we thank you, Council, Shantel, District Attorney Will Brown, and then Will Whiteley, and thank you, Cynthia. We thank you, everyone that's present here today. And like I said, we're committed, want to do more. If the opportunity come, we hopefully that we can be part of the share, and hopefully out of business in Oakland, our community will involve more, so we can, be in part of, help and build.
Well, and that concludes our news conference. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate you.